let's go back to 2018. So one day I was scrolling through Sky Cinema and I found this movie. It was called My Cousin Vinny, and that's a tale for another video, but I also saw a movie next to it called MFKZ, which was the first new animated film I'd seen on Sky, but I decided not to watch it since it looked really weird. And also, what the hell does MFKZ stand for? But around a year ago, I found out that the franchise was started by a French comic artist named Run. He created the main characters in his cold apartment, and they starred in his comic strips until he got to tell Angelino and Vin's full story in a nice and fully colored comic book format. I started reading the comic book, and I really enjoyed it, but I then realized that some of the fight scenes would look so cool in motion. So I decided to slap on the movie to get the full MFKZ experience. And honestly, the thing that shocked me the most about the movie wasn't the action, but the fact that Angelino and Vince sounded like normal people. I don't know why, but for some reason I always imagined Angelino to sound like Rigby from Regular Show. The movie is about two young men, Angelino and his buddy Vince, who live together in a rundown crappy apartment in Dark Meat City. Angelino looks like an anthropomorphic olive and Vince looks like he's Ghost Rider's illegitimate son. But that's barely ever acknowledged in the story other than for a few gags, such as how Vince can't be employed because he's a fire hazard. The two guys live pretty terrible lives, as Dark Meat City is basically a mix of Chirac, peak Breaking Bad Albuquerque, and Gotham City. They're poor and constantly going through small jobs just to get by, and always have to watch how they act around people and keep their heads down since the gangs run the city. And the only other friend they have in this world is an annoying and clumsy cat named Willy. Honestly, the only reason I choose to read the comic book over the movie at this point is just so I don't have to hear Willy's voice, because it's just,
Yeah, it's your boy Willie, tripping in a little shade, living here in outer space.
But one day, Angelino was riding a scooter to deliver a pizza, and he gets hit by a humongous truck after not paying attention to the road after gawking at a woman he saw. Angelino's accident activates abilities he didn't know he had, such as being able to tell the difference between humans and disguised aliens, enhanced speed, agility, and at sometimes he even can go feral and grow tentacles. But once Angelino discovers this power, a hit is put on him and Vince by the aliens. They're followed and attacked by Men in Black, and they try to kill them, only for Angelino to kick one of them in the face and Vince to squash him with a humongous bin. The guys go back to their apartment and are very freaked out by what happened, only to be ambushed again by armed officers, but they're able to flee and go into hiding. The guys hide out in a neighboring hood called Palm Hills, which somehow is even worse than DMC since they almost get killed on their first day out. They're approached by a ginormous gangbanger called Shakespeare, who got his name because he clearly enjoyed his English GCSEs. But they're found once again, this time accompanied by the head agent of the MIBs, Bruce Maccabee. I'm just gonna call him Bruce for simplicity's sake. They try to escape the Men in Black by using an ice cream truck of all things. However, this sequence is one of the best in the film, as the ice cream truck's music gets sampled into the beat going on in the background. They eventually get captured, and Angelino discovers that he's being hunted by aliens called Machos, and he is half alien. So is the girl that he saw at the beginning of the film, whose name is Luna. Angelino and Vince are then rescued by some luchadors who are sprinkled in around the story, who are a part of a team working to stop the Machos. They know the Machos' only weakness, the cold, and are building a rocket that will explode and engulf the city in snow, freezing all the Machos in its radius. And to their luck, the only Machos in the world are populated in DMC and in the White House. And when they ask for Angelino's help, him and Vince just run away. They're done with all the supernatural sci-fi crap and just want to be left alone for once. This whole thing has overwhelmed them way too much, and for somebody who was sick of being a nobody, Angelino sure would love to have his old life back now. But just as they're about to go away for good, they find out that Willy is in danger because of them, and the MIB that Angelino kicked in the face at the beginning was holding a grudge on them the whole time. So instead of running away, him and Vince go to rescue Willy. The MIB holding Willy captive is so desperate to get revenge on Angelino and Vince, he fails his attempt and accidentally kills one of the local gang members. He angers this gang, which starts a massive shootout that ends up almost killing him. As the shootout wraps up, he's here clutching his wound and his gun, but before he can do anything, the luchador's rocket goes airborne and it explodes at its peak, engulfing the entire city of DMC in snow. The explosion also causes a nearby helicopter to go out of control, and it lands directly on the MIB agent. Whilst the rest of the Machos are freezing and Angelino is about to die, Luna gives Angelino a smooch and he unfreezes. because the power of love, woo! But Bruce pulls up and tries to kill Luna for her treachery. Angelino fights his hardest to stop him, but Bruce smokes him and leaves him half dead. Vince takes Bruce's gun off the floor and tries to stop him, but the kick is so powerful that he ends up gun-butting himself in the face and clutching his nose hole, which is dripping with blood. And Willie ran away like half an hour ago. But just as Bruce is about to finally finish off Angelino, guess who comes to his rescue? The entirety of the Palm Hills gang. You see, when the MIBs originally found Angelino and Vince hiding in Palm Hills, one of the Palm Hills gang members decided to shoot an MIB, causing another shootout, which led to Shakespeare getting his eye shot off by Bruce. So Shakespeare tells him an eye for an eye, and the entirety of the Palm Hills gang slide on Bruce, killing him in cold blood. 2 months then pass, and Angelino has recovered, Vince has a job, and the Machos seem to be gone from the earth, including Luna. However, we're left on a cliffhanger ending as Luna is hiding somewhere in DMC and the Machos are operating and scheming their get back on the moon. To bring this movie to life, it was animated by Studio 4C, who are known for producing top-tier frame-by-frame Japanese animation, such as the animations from Halo Legends and their work for Street Fighter 4. And 4C did not disappoint with this movie. It's visually stunning, the character designs look great, and the action is never dull. But there is one big issue that I have with this movie, and it's that the animation and art are the only completely solid and perfect things about the movie. Like, my biggest problem with the movie is that the story isn't exactly bad, but it doesn't wrap up correctly as it ends on a cliffhanger. Angelino writes to Luna with the hope of finding her someday, and then the Machos are still alive and just scheming. Also, I found the climax of the movie to be quite underwhelming. Not because of the big reveal about aliens, I mean, if anything, that was more over the top than I actually expected. But I found the initial defeat of the Machos way too easy, which in hindsight it was, since the cliffhanger shows that they're still alive and continuing with their plot to dominate the world. Another issue I had was when Angelino and Vince were rescued by the Luchadors. The appearance of the Luchadors is a bit iffy since they weren't as established as I would have liked. They did show up throughout the story, whether on Angelino's TV or in one scene where we saw them hanging out in the locker room. But their motivations for trying to stop the Machos is actually really weird, and I feel like it could have been approached a little bit better. Throughout the movie, the Luchadors see signs which kind of link them to Vince and Angelino's plot, and that's kind of how they end up on this team to stop the Machos. Which isn't the worst way they could have gone about this, but I'm sure they could have done a better job if there was a little bit more screen time. You could argue that this is because of the runtime not allowing for this, but honestly this movie is a decent length and it doesn't feel like too rushed or too slow. I do think that some of the earlier scenes dragged a little bit and they could have given time to the Luchadors just that little bit more, so they could have given them a different reason to help out. Another problem I had with it was the fact that the duo just had no proper involvement in stopping the Machos. They stopped Bruce, but barely as well, because the Palm Hills gang were the ones who actually killed him. In the end, Angelino and Vince didn't really do anything to stop the aliens or Bruce, but to be fair, it is quite in character for them, so it would kind of make sense for the story, but it also made the ending feel a little bit less stable. I think most of my criticisms for MFKZ stem from the fact that the movie needs a sequel. It clearly has more to show for itself, and I'd really like to see another movie to wrap things up properly. The creator of the original comic and director, Run, has started a continuation series, and it came out a little while ago, so I'm pretty sure it might still be serializing. Whilst the first movie didn't disappoint, as I did enjoy my time watching it, I just felt it was a little rough around the edges. Once again, its animation and art style is incredible, and I really love the voice acting as well, so I definitely would recommend this movie to anyone who hasn't seen it. It's one of the last Western 2D animated movies to come out with a theatrical release. And even though it has an Eastern animation studio working on it, it's still great to see a 2D animated feature film from the mind of someone in the West, as I feel we've really been lacking it recently. Okay, I'm done now. See ya.
Viva la raza! I lie, I cheat, I steal. I lie, I cheat, I steal. Yo, mamacita, I got that passion that's lasting long. Los mujeres fall in love with that Latin charm.